AITA for telling my wife I want a divorce after she pointed out that as a stepdad, I have to keep showing up no matter what happens. I 39 male married Lisa, 38 female 4 years ago. She was divorced already and had 2 kids with her ex-husband. Their custody was split, and even though they were civil enough around the kids, they didn't actually co-parent properly because things between them were really bad. Still, it seemed okay from outside, and when I came into the picture, Lisa made it clear that her kids were her world. I respected that I didn't try to force myself into their lives. I thought I would let them come to me if and when they were ready. At first, things were pretty normal. The kids were young, around 7 and 5 back then. They would sometimes talk to me and sometimes not. I followed their lead, always respecting the fact that I was not their dad. When I married Lisa, we even talked about how important it was to be a good positive presence and not push anything too fast. Then things slowly started to change. Lisa's ex started getting hostile towards me. Whenever he saw me at pickup or drop-off or at events, he would glare at me. Sometimes he would say stuff under his breath like, "Don't talk to my kids. Know your place." At first, I brushed it off, thinking he was just bitter, but it got worse over time. Lisa did try to confront him. She warned him that if he didn't stop, she would start documenting everything. But honestly, he didn't care. He would say it louder, even in front of the kids, and I could see how it was affecting them. Little by little, the kids started being colder to me. Less polite, more distant. Lisa went back to court, hoping to get some kind of protection or ruling. The judge ordered both her and her ex to attend parenting classes individually, but nothing more. They said it wasn't technically parental alienation. Lisa was frustrated, but what could we do? We had to live with it. Meanwhile, at home, things started getting more awkward. The kids used to be okay with me calling them my stepkids. I even asked them once if they were comfortable dropping the step, and they said no. I respected that. I never forced it. But then after all the hostility from their dad, they started getting angry, even when I said stepkids. They would correct me sharply, saying, "We are not your kids. Stop calling us that." Lisa didn't like that either. She started pushing me to call them my kids. She wanted me to act like their real father. But the kids were pushing back harder and harder. And that's not even the worst part. Lisa and I had our own child 3 years ago. A beautiful little baby. I thought maybe a shared sibling would help bond all of us together. But it didn't. If anything, it made things worse. The older kids didn't accept their little sibling. They were angry all the time. Sometimes I would hear them say cruel things about the baby, and it broke my heart. Lisa said they just needed time, that if I stayed involved and kept showing up, they would come around. I wanted to believe her. I really did, so I tried harder. I showed up at every event. I offered to drive them places. I helped with homework. I cheered for them at games. I did everything I could think of. And the more I tried, the more hostile they became. Their dad kept feeding them poison, and they drank it up, like it was the truth. The disrespect grew. The coldness turned to open anger and sometimes outright threats. Still, Lisa insisted I keep going, that it was my job, that this was what being a real dad meant. I kept asking myself how much more I could take. How many times I had to get punched emotionally before it was okay to say enough. But the final blow, the thing that shattered everything, was still waiting for me around the corner. And when it came, it left no doubt in my mind about what I needed to do. The final straw came one evening after practice. Lisa had asked me to pick up her oldest from soccer. I didn't mind. I was trying to show up like she kept telling me. The car ride started off quiet. I asked him casually how practice went. Just small talk, trying to keep it light. But the way he looked at me, that cold, hard stare, it hit me in the chest. "You're not my dad," he said. "Stop acting like you care." I stayed calm, told him I wasn't trying to replace anyone. I was just here because I loved their mom and wanted to support them. He laughed. A mean laugh that didn't belong on an 11-year-old's face. Then he said something that froze my blood. He said he could accuse me of hurting him, of abusing him, and everyone would believe him because I wasn't his real dad. He said if he did that, I'd be taken away, that I would lose everything, and that he and his sibling would be happy because they hate me, just like their dad hates me. I didn't even know what to say. I couldn't even breathe. I pulled the car over and stared at the steering wheel, trying to stay calm, trying not to panic. This wasn't just childish anger anymore. This was a serious threat. I drove him home in silence. Didn't say a word. Didn't even look at him. When we got back, Lisa could see something was wrong. She kept asking me what happened. And when I finally told her what her son had said, she looked at me and told me I had to stay strong, that I had to keep showing up, that they needed me now more than ever. I asked her if she was serious, if she really expected me to keep risking myself, my freedom, my ability to be there for my own child, after being threatened like that. And she said yes. She said I signed up for this when I married her, that being a stepdad meant unconditional love no matter what. I asked her, what would happen if he followed through? If he lied and I got dragged through hell? If I couldn't see our own child for months or years while everything got sorted out, would she still expect me to just take it? And she said yes, without even blinking. She said I needed to be stronger, a better man, a better father. I realized then, right in that moment, that she didn't care about me. Not really. She cared about what I could provide. The stability, the support, the extra set of hands to raise kids who hated me. She didn't care if it destroyed me. And that's when something inside me broke. A deep part of me that had been hanging on, hoping things would get better, finally let go. I packed a small bag that night, kissed my little one on the forehead while they slept, and I left. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked away, because staying wasn't strength anymore. It was self-destruction, and I owed it to myself and to my child to walk away while I still had something left to give. The first night alone was the hardest. I sat in a small rented apartment staring at the walls, wondering how my life had ended up here. I missed my little one so much it physically hurt. I kept thinking about their soft little hands, their sleepy smile, the way they would reach for me when they were scared. I cried that night. Not for Lisa, not even for the kids who hated me. I cried for the dream I had built in my head, the family I thought I was helping to create, the future that had just shattered into a million pieces. Lisa called me the next morning, not to apologize, not to ask if I was okay, but to tell me I was making a huge mistake, that I was giving up too easily, that real dads don't walk away when things get hard. She kept saying the same thing over and over. You signed up for this. You made a vow. You owe it to us to stay. But every time she said us, it felt more hollow. Because where was the us when her kids spat venom at me? Where was the us when her son threatened to ruin my life? Where was the us when I begged her to listen to understand how alone I felt? There was no us. There was me standing alone, trying to hold up a crumbling house that no one else cared to fix. I told her calmly that I wasn't coming back, that I would be filing for divorce, that my priority now was my own child, my blood, my baby, who didn't deserve to lose me because of everyone else's hate. She didn't take it well. She screamed at me over the phone, said I was abandoning them, said I was weak, said I was selfish. Her father got involved next, called me a coward, said real men fight for their families, said I was throwing away something beautiful because I couldn't handle a few bumps in the road. And the whole time we were talking, I could hear it, Lisa yelling in the background, the kids screaming at her, fighting with her over calling me their dad. And in that moment, as her father lectured me about being a man, I realized he couldn't even hear what was happening right behind him. The chaos, the hatred, the brokenness. They were still trying to pretend this was a normal family worth saving. But I wasn't pretending anymore. I had lived it. I had felt every cold shoulder, heard every cruel word, endured every silent accusation. And I knew better. This wasn't a family. It was a battlefield. And I was the enemy from the start. I spent the next few days focusing on my little one, picking them up from daycare, taking them to the park, sitting with them while they played and laughed. For those few hours, it was just us. No anger, no resentment, just love. It reminded me of why I made the choice to leave. Because my child deserved a father who was whole, not broken, not bitter, not walking on eggshells in his own home. Lisa kept trying, though. Every day there were new messages, new calls, new promises that things would change. She said the kids were just confused, that they were lashing out because of their dad's poison, that if I came back and showed them more love, they would come around. She begged. She cried. She even tried to use our child as leverage, saying things like, "Don't you want them to grow up in a full family? Don't you want them to have siblings around them?" But I wasn't falling for it anymore, because love isn't supposed to be a battlefield, and respect isn't something you can force with guilt. Every visit with my child made me stronger, made me more certain, and every interaction with Lisa, every desperate attempt to pull me back, made it clear that she didn't see me. Not really. She saw what I could give, what role I could fill, not who I was, not what I needed. One evening, she showed up at my door, standing there with tears running down her face, holding a photo album full of pictures, vacations, birthdays, Christmas mornings. She flipped through them one by one, pointing to every smile, every happy memory, begging me to remember. But all I could see, all I could feel, was the loneliness I carried in every one of those moments. The pretending, the forcing, the silent desperation. I told her I was sorry, that I wished things could have been different, but that I wasn't coming back, that I loved my child too much to show them that love means suffering in silence. She left broken that night, and for a moment, just a brief moment, I almost broke too. But then I heard my little one's laughter echoing in my mind, and I stood firm, because sometimes the hardest choice is the right one. Weeks passed, and every day I felt a little bit stronger, a little bit lighter. I started building a new routine, one centered around peace, not chaos. Every evening after work, I picked up my child. We went to the playground, or we sat in the apartment coloring and watching cartoons. Simple things, quiet things, things that didn't need fixing or forcing. Meanwhile, Lisa kept pushing. She emailed me long letters, sometimes angry, sometimes sweet, sometimes heartbreaking. She talked about family vacations we hadn't taken yet, talked about birthdays and graduations, talked about growing old together. She said I was stealing those dreams from her, from the kids, from myself, but they were her dreams, not mine. My dreams had always been simple. Respect, kindness, love without strings attached. And no matter how many pictures she painted, none of them looked like that. Her father called again, too, telling me I was teaching my son to be a quitter, that I was teaching him to run. When life got hard, I listened quietly, let him say what he needed to say. But inside, I knew I wasn't running from difficulty. I was walking away from disrespect, from hostility, from a home that would have swallowed me whole if I stayed. Some nights, it hurt. The silence, the loneliness. I would sit on the couch, Look at the empty apartment and wonder if I had made a mistake. Wonder if maybe love really was supposed to hurt this much. But then the weekend would come, and I would see my child's face light up when they saw me, hear their laughter, feel their tiny arms wrap around my neck, and I would remember, this was love. Pure, simple, uncomplicated. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a stranger in my own life. I felt like me, not a replacement, not an outsider, not a punching bag, just me, a father, a man who chose peace over pretending. The divorce papers were filed quietly. No big fight, no dramatic courtroom battle. Lisa didn't contest it. Maybe deep down she knew there was nothing left to fight for. We agreed on shared custody of our child. Simple fare. The older kids didn't even look at me during the final meeting. They sat stiff and angry, refusing to acknowledge my presence. And that was okay. I didn't hate them. I didn't even blame them anymore. They were kids caught between adults who made mistakes. It wasn't my job to fix what their father broke. It wasn't my burden to carry their anger anymore. The last time I saw Lisa in person, she looked tired, older somehow, worn down by a life she couldn't control. She handed me our child's backpack, looked at me for a long moment, and said softly, "You gave up on us." I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. There was nothing left to say, because I hadn't given up. I had finally chosen myself. And maybe for the first time in years, that choice didn't feel selfish. It felt necessary. It felt right. As I walked away from her holding my child's tiny hand, I realized something. Sometimes love means staying fighting, holding on, but sometimes real love means letting go, walking away from people who refuse to meet you halfway. It's not easy. It's not clean. It's not the kind of story that fits neatly into a happy ending. But it's real and it's mine today. My child knows a father who smiles easily, who laughs loudly, who loves openly. No bitterness, no resentment, no pretending. Just us, living, healing, growing together. And maybe that's not the family Lisa dreamed of, but it's the one I choose every single day without regret. Life doesn't always give you the ending you imagined. Sometimes it gives you something harder, something lonelier, but something real. I didn't walk away because I stopped loving. I walked away because I finally understood what love truly means. Love is not proving your worth to people who refuse to see it. Love is not sacrificing your peace for someone else's comfort. Love is not staying silent while you're torn apart piece by piece. Love is knowing when enough is enough. Love is protecting your heart. Love is showing your child what it means to choose respect over chaos. I didn't fail. I didn't quit. I survived. And in surviving, I found myself again. Not as someone's second choice. Not as someone's punching bag, but as a man who deserves to be loved back. Fully, freely, without fear. Today, I live quietly, simply gratefully. I laugh louder, sleep deeper, and love harder. Not because the past didn't hurt, but because I chose not to stay trapped inside it. I chose me. And sometimes, that's the bravest thing you can ever do. Subscribe for more videos every week.